Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Tabletop Educators. Today we're going to talk a little bit about planning a virtual lesson. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is bell ringers. In a traditional classroom, it's actually one of the easiest things to do in the classroom to get students to come in, sit down, and actually get focused right off the bat is to have that bell ringer up on the board and the expectation of students to, get started on the question. I liked to use discussion questions, and I had my students sitting in groups so they would talk to each other as they're coming in and getting their materials ready about the question on the board, and then we would have a whole class discussion on the bell ringer. Obviously in a virtual classroom that just doesn't work anymore, and there was no way for me to really recreate that same experience virtually. However, what you can do is set up a virtual discussion board where students can look at the discussion questions and then come to it at their own time to respond, and then even comment on other students' responses as well. This is something that you can do fairly easily in Google Classroom. You can actually open up the comment section on the Google Stream so that your students can post their comments directly on the wall. If you don't like the Google Wall option, you can use Padlet and assign a different Padlet each week so students can click on the link to the Padlet, and then up comes this discussion wall where all the students are putting in their own comments and things. One thing that you can do if you are going to have a virtual lesson discussion board is you can allow students to go and research what they're feeling or thinking about when it comes to this topic, and they can post their own articles or YouTube videos or even TikTok videos that are related to the discussion in some way. You'll see that student engagement goes way up when they're allowed to find things on the internet and share with other peers in the classroom. The second thing that you need to look at when planning a virtual lesson is understanding that students are going to have different accommodations when it comes to working on virtual classes. So some of your students are not going to have any problem getting time on the computer and having access to the internet, while other students may find it a little bit more challenging. So if you do have students that have these kinds of struggles, it actually works better to open up your due dates and to assign multiple things all at once so that your students can see what's due and they can manage on their own time, how they're going to get these assignments complete. I like giving students the whole week, so I'll give assignments on Monday but not expect to start seeing them until Thursday or Friday in the week, and that way students know that they've got the whole week to really figure out when they're going to have access to the computer, how they're going to get access to the internet, and how to get the assignments back to me. Now, just because I give them everything on Monday doesn't mean that I don't give them a series of assignments to do. It's not just one assignment that they have a whole week to work on. There's going to be steps, and it's going to be a level of differentiation within those same assignments. So the first thing I'm going to look at is my core assignment, the thing that I really want them to focus on, and the thing that is the end product. So I might give them a whole week to complete these assignments, but the one that I really care about is going to be the one that shows that they have mastered a standard or a skill in my curriculum. To show me that they've mastered this skill, they're going to have to complete all these other assignments that kind of build on each other to complete this main level assignment. Not always a project, but it could easily be a project in this situation. An example of this would be, I want my students to show me that they can accurately analyze a magical realism text and show me how the elements that the author chooses within this text create magical realism. So how I might do that is, first I have to show them what magical realism is. So I might give them a series of videos and maybe even a matching assignment where they have to go in and find things that are or are not magical realism after they understand what magical realism is. After that, I might ask them to complete a series of grammar activities on noredink.com or on quill.com just to make sure that their writing skills are staying above what I want them to be. And then I might give them 2 or 3 stories to choose from. So they're going to read 2 or 3 of these stories, and they're all going to be magical realism, and they're going to be able to really understand what magical realism is at this point. So I've shown them what it is, they've practiced their writing, and now they're reading a couple of different stories that are magical realism. At this point, I might start asking them discussion questions. So now they're going to get on the Padlet and they're going to be posting things, how they feel about magical realism, what they've seen lately that might be magical realism, and what they thought about the stories that they read. Which ones did they choose? What was relevant to them about the story, things like that. And then the final activity might actually ask them to critique the magical realism used. Was it enough magical realism to be deemed magical realism, or was it more Gothic literature, or was it more in line with urban fantasy? And I would have them argue to me what the genre of the story is, using the author's choices within the text.